Why 2025 will be the last normal year to buy a car. The average new car just crossed $50,000 for the first time in history. Federal EV tax credits worth $7,500 ended on September 30th with no replacement on the horizon. And there's a collision of tariffs, supply shortages, and manufacturer price hikes about to hit that will make everything you've complained about for the past 4 years look like a warm-up. If you're even thinking about buying a car in the next few years, what I'm about to reveal could save you tens of thousands of dollars or cost you everything if you wait too long. Something fundamental is shifting in the automotive market. We're not talking about the usual seasonal fluctuations or temporary supply hiccups. We're talking about a structural restructuring of what it costs to own a vehicle in America. The window for normal car buying, where you can walk into a dealership, negotiate a fair deal, finance at reasonable rates, and drive away without feeling like you've been financially gutted, is closing. And once it's gone, industry experts are warning it may not fully reopen anytime soon. Today, I'm breaking down the 7 converging forces that are about to change car buying for the foreseeable future, and why 2025 might be your last chance to buy before the new reality sets in. If you want to understand exactly what's coming and protect yourself from what could be the biggest automotive price shock in decades, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. And if you're one of our first viewers, use the new hype feature to help this video reach more drivers before they walk into dealerships completely unprepared for what's about to hit them. Chapter 1. The $50,000 threshold has been crossed. Let's start with the number that should terrify every American car buyer. According to Kelley Blue Book data from August 2025, the average transaction price for a new vehicle hit approximately $51,000, crossing the $50,000 threshold for the first time in a sustained way. That's not the sticker price, that's what people are actually paying after negotiations. To put this in perspective, the average new car cost around $37,000 to $38,000 in 2019. We've seen roughly a 30% to 35% increase in just 6 years. And according to Cox Automotive, the average MSRP reached $51,099 by August 2025, up 3.3% year over year, the largest gain of 2025 so far. Here's what makes this different from previous price increases. In the past, you could escape high prices by waiting for deals, shopping off-brand, or buying smaller vehicles. That strategy is dying. Automakers have discovered that Americans will pay premium prices, and they've restructured their entire business models around that reality. The days of the $25,000 family sedan are essentially over. Manufacturers are eliminating base trims, dropping affordable models entirely, and focusing production on high-margin SUVs and trucks. According to the Cox Automotive Vehicle Affordability Index, it now takes around 37 weeks of median income to purchase the average new vehicle. That's more than 7 months of your entire paycheck before taxes, before rent, before feeding your family just to buy a car. Chapter 2. The Tariff Time Bomb. If you think current prices are painful, you haven't seen anything yet. The tariff situation that began in early 2025 is about to detonate across the entire automotive industry. Here's what's already happened. President Trump's 25% tariffs on imported vehicles went into effect in early April 2025, with tariffs on many auto parts following by May 3rd. According to Anderson Economic Group, manufacturers have absorbed tens of billions of dollars in tariff costs through 2025. General Motors reported swallowing approximately $1.1 billion in tariff costs in a single quarter. Ford disclosed roughly $800 million in tariff impact. Toyota, Nissan, Hyundai, all reporting significant absorbed costs. The keyword there is absorbed. Automakers have been eating these costs to avoid shocking consumers. But as Cox Automotive chief economist Jonathan Smoke warns, that can't last. The industry expects consumer-facing prices to climb 4% to 8% by year-end, with increases accelerating dramatically as 2026 models arrive. And it's not just imported cars. Even domestic models are getting hammered. Tariffs on imported parts can easily add around $2,000 or more to a U.S.-made SUV in many configurations. The American automotive supply chain is heavily global. Most vehicles contain substantial foreign content, making escape from these tariffs nearly impossible. Volkswagen has already announced price increases of 1.9% to 6.5% across most 2026 models. And General Motors is quietly raising destination charges by hundreds of dollars, a backdoor price increase most buyers never notice until they're signing paperwork. But the tariffs are just the beginning. Wait until you hear what happened to federal EV incentives and why that's going to affect the price of every car on the lot, not just electric vehicles. Chapter 3. The death of the $7,500 tax credit. On the 30th of September 2025, the federal government ended one of the biggest incentives in automotive history. The $7,500 tax credit for new EVs is gone, the $4,000 credit for used EVs is gone, and even the commercial vehicle credit that made leasing attractive has vanished. Only buyers with signed contracts and payments before the deadline may still qualify, but for everyone else, the window has closed. Without these credits, EV prices are rising. Automakers like Hyundai, Ford, and GM are covering discounts themselves, money they'll need to recoup elsewhere in their lineup. Q3 2025 saw record EV sales as buyers rushed to capture the credits. But now industry analysts predict EV volumes could drop 20%, 50% as the subsidy effect fades. Used EV prices are falling, and some state-level incentives have ended, amplifying the squeeze. Even if you don't plan to buy an EV, this matters. Higher EV prices push buyers back toward gas vehicles, driving those prices up too. Chapter 4. The used car squeeze is here. For years, used cars were the escape hatch from skyrocketing new car prices. That escape hatch is closing fast. Pandemic-era production shortfalls and the chip shortage from 2022-2023 mean millions of missing new cars are now missing from the 3-year-old used market. Edmunds reports the average 3-year-old vehicle now costs around $30,500, up 2%, 3% from last year. Lease returns, once a primary source of lightly used cars, have also declined. Consumers are holding onto vehicles longer, pushing up the average age of trade-ins and further tightening supply. The result? The price gap between new and used cars has widened to over $20,000. Used cars are no longer a budget-friendly alternative. They can cost as much as new cars did in 2019. Chapter 5. The financing nightmare. Even if you find a vehicle you can afford, financing has become another obstacle. Experian reports average interest rates of 6.8% for new car loans and 11.54% for used cars. Subprime buyers can face rates exceeding 18%. Monthly payments are crushing. $749 for new cars and $521 for used, often stretched over nearly 6 years. Compare this to traditional budgeting rules: 20% down, 4-year loan, 10% of income on car expenses. Median earners can afford about $700 monthly for all car costs. Just the average new car payment exceeds that. Federal Reserve rate cuts in September and October 2025 may eventually help, but relief isn't immediate, leaving buyers squeezed today. Chapter 6. The insurance apocalypse. Car insurance has quietly become one of the biggest hidden costs for American drivers. According to the Zebra's 2025 report, the average driver now pays $2,189 annually, a 19% jump from last year and a 78% increase over the past decade. In states like Florida and Nevada, premiums exceed $3,000, with analysts warning they could rise even higher due to tariffs and rising repair costs. Why the surge? Modern cars are loaded with sensors, cameras, and computers. What used to be a $500 fender bender can now cost $3,000 or more to repair when safety systems need recalibration. Litigation and medical costs are also climbing, and natural disasters like hurricanes are pushing claims sky high. The Insurance Information Institute projects another 7% nationwide increase in 2025, with some states facing spikes above 15%. Chapter 7. The repair cost reckoning. Buying a car is just the start. Repairs are where ownership costs explode. Mechanic labor averages $80, $160 per hour, while dealerships often charge $120, $175. But labor is only the beginning. Modern vehicles are rolling computers, often containing dozens of electronic control modules. Diagnosing issues can take hours, and manufacturers frequently lock diagnostic tools behind proprietary software, forcing owners to pay dealer rates or delay repairs. EVs present even bigger challenges. High-voltage battery work requires specialized training and equipment, and replacements can range from $10,000 to $20,000 or more. Even routine maintenance, like spark plug replacement on turbo engines, can turn a $200 job into an $800 ordeal. Simply put, car repairs are becoming increasingly complex and expensive. Chapter 8. Why 2025 is your window. Despite these pressures, 2025 represents a narrow window of opportunity. Tariffs haven't fully passed to consumers, financing rates are relatively stable, and 2025 model year vehicles are still available at pre-increase prices. Used car prices remain elevated but haven't yet reflected the coming supply crunch. Starting in 2026, prices will rise structurally, not just temporarily. Manufacturers are targeting higher margin segments, trade policies are locked in, and pandemic-era production shortfalls mean used car supply will stay tight for years. Waiting could cost buyers more money, making 2025 the last chance for reasonable deals. Chapter 9. How to protect yourself. Navigating this market requires strategy. Secure financing before shopping, ideally through credit unions or online lenders. Focus on outgoing model year inventory, expand your search radius, and consider certified pre-owned vehicles carefully. They offer warranties but come with premiums. Factor in total ownership costs. Insurance, fuel, and maintenance may outweigh the sticker price. EV buyers should research state incentives, which can offset costs partially. And don't overlook older, simpler cars. Fewer electronics often mean lower repair costs and insurance. Sometimes the boring car is the smartest financial choice. And make sure to check out our next video on the 13 cars that mechanics are literally refusing to work on. Some of these vehicles have become so complex and manufacturer restricted that shops across America are turning owners away. The repair nightmare we discussed today gets very specific, and number one on the list will shock you.